Alright guys, how's it going? In today's video we're going to cover the newest feature of Shergood aircraft, and that's going to be maintenance. Okay, on my left here you can see we have our maintenance workbench all laid out with all of our tools and equipment. On the right we have our aircraft. Okay, so first thing we're going to know is what parts can be replaced under maintenance. So we have landing gear, main rotor blades, tail rotor blades. This is your main transmission. Here we have your tail rotor transmission, your intermediate transmission, various components from wiring harnesses, fuel controllers, hydraulic pumps, filters, replacement light bulbs, fire extinguisher equipment, generators, hooks, fuel pumps, batteries, air tanks, and on this side we have the APU and the engine. If you're ever unsure of which part the is, you can click on it before you connect to your aircraft and it'll tell you what parts you have available to be replaced. Hey, if you've paid attention earlier to the uh, pre-flight video, you saw where we checked all these different components, and if you go and you're doing your pre-flight and you notice a component is not good, that's when you can come to this table and replace those components. That's called reactive maintenance. Okay, reactive maintenance, the part is bad, we replace it. Very common in aviation. But what we also have here is preventative maintenance. Okay, part of preventative maintenance with doing your fueling and stuff is something called life limited parts. Lots of parts on this aircraft and other aircraft are limited by how many hours they can be used or by a certain calendar date, and by which time they need to be replaced. So to check those numbers, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to connect our workbench to our helicopter 1331 Sierra, and we're going to check our laptop here. Here you can see our helicopter S61R 1331 Sierra, current hops time of 2.4 hours. And then here you can see the service time of each component, as well as the date that that component was installed by the maintenance bench. Okay, that doesn't count, the repair all function in the helicopter that's coming up here and replacing a component from the maintenance bench. All right, this time here shows you when the aircraft had the maintenance issue, or sorry, how many hours were on the helicopter when you had the parts installed. Most people, this is going to be fresh out of the gate. All your parts were installed at 0 hours. Now, unfortunately, I had 11 of a generator. You can see here, number 2 generator. I had to replace 0.2 hours into my flight. Very first flight, 0.2 hours in, I had a generator 2 malfunction. Okay, on my indicator it said converter 2, failure, lights came on, caution light came on, we put the aircraft down and had to go through and figure out what was going on, in which case I had a generator failure. Not unheard of, but definitely rare in of its own mind. Okay, so as you can see, all my parts on this aircraft were put on new when they came out of the factory, except for that one generator I had to change. Okay, 20 hours on a generator, and now that one gets changed in 17.8 hours. All right, now while we're talking about these components here, I want to show you, some of you may say I don't want to deal with that. That's perfectly fine. If you click on your windscreen and you go to options, right here we have the failure rate. Level 5 is normal failure rate. That's your normal wear and tear on a piece of equipment that may fail. Okay, and you can cycle this if you follow the Shergood wiki under maintenance and diagnostic. Right here in this section tells you what level does what. If you wish to put it on N, no maintenance, no failures, nothing, you are more than welcome to do that. Some of you may want to go higher to deal with emergency situations while you're flying. Some people lower, whatever you personally prefer. Now, along with the maintenance times, okay, and the failure rates beyond the serviceable hours, per this scale gives you a demonstration here. This is a 20-hour component. After you hit 20 hours, that rate of the possible failure of that component will skyrocket. So you never want to fly an aircraft past its life limited parts, and you can always check that on that table there. Down here gives you a list of all your replaceable parts, as well as their lifetime and hours. On use means you use it, you replace it. So if you had to use your fire extinguishing equipment, you replace your fire extinguishing equipment. Okay, it also tells you symptoms of a failing component. Yes, it's possible for these components to fail early, which is what I showed you with that generator that I had fail. Okay, so for example, in engine 1, 0 torque and RPM indications, fire indications, warning symptoms, the lights for the low engine oil quantity or the chip light come on. Okay, as well as causes. Causes are what you are doing as a pilot that can cause this part to fail early. Okay, low fluids, not putting enough oil in that engine can cause that engine to fail early. Over torquing your engine, your high N2, faulty fuel filter, or improper fuel use. Okay, this aircraft is designed for Jet A, but if you read the manual, in case of an emergency, you can in fact use 100 low lead in the engine, maximum of 2 hours of flight time on it, and when it's done, you've got to strip it down and clean everything. So it's just one of those things of, hey, I can do this, but is it really worth it? Okay, and just because I like even times here, I'm going to show you an exchange of components. We'll go through and we'll try to swap out some components here on my aircraft. Since I have a 0.2 generator and a 0.0 generator time, let's go ahead and swap out both of my generators. So my table is connected here. So if I click this, where do I want to install this generator? I'm going to install one on, it'll open our access doors. Okay, if you know, remember where the generators were, they're actually on the other access panel. So we open that access panel, there you go, this is generator 1 and 2. So you can see both my generators are in good condition, but we're going to go ahead and swap them out for the sake of this tutorial video. So there's the replacement of generator 1. There's the replacement of generator 2. Now if we close out my book and reopen it, actually we didn't even have to do that. You can see there it actually updated in live, perfectly good. Swapped out my generators at 2.4 hours flight time. So right there you can see at 2.4 hours, that's my Hobbs time. We put 2 new generators in, Gen 1, Gen 2 replaced. And at 20 hours, I have 20 hours left on those I have to replace those. So we'll have to replace those at 22.4 hours to replace those. All right, one thing to remember when it comes to the maintenance of these aircraft, the maintenance is saved on the database side, same as this, as you just saw. It's not saved per the aircraft, so if you burn out an engine, okay, and you just delete the aircraft, pull out a new one, when it syncs up to get its tail number, it's going to see that that engine is damaged. It's going to give that back to you. Your maintenance times don't change just because you put out a new part, or sorry, you put out a new aircraft. The maintenance times don't change. Now, for the people that turn maintenance off, okay, the part where if you turn that off, that's fine. You can fly the aircraft all you want. The helicopter won't diminish between parts. You don't have to worry about exchanging parts or do anything like that. However, if you ever turn that feature back on, okay, and say like those generators are only 20 hours, okay, I go fly my helicopter for 20 hours with part maintenance turned off, or 40 hours with part maintenance turned off, and then I turned it back on, I now have 20 plus 20 hours over their maximum life on those, and you can expect to have failures very rapidly at that point. So these times don't change just because you res out a new one. They will continue to accumulate even if you have that maintenance feature turned off. Just remember, if you turn that maintenance feature on, you're going to have maintenance to do. When it comes to maintenance, the owner can do it, or anybody that's licensed on the airframe can do it. And there are several public terminals around the world. Each of you get one if you bought the aircraft. You get your own maintenance terminal. But there are public ones around the world that you can go. You can always get with a mechanic, an AMP. And if somebody wants to do those work for you, they can take care of that and they can service your airframe for you. That's just something you have to go find on your own. If you guys have any questions, remember, check us out in the group. Make sure you get to the Shergood Wiki, where you can get more details on maintenance and those individual components. Blue skies, everybody.